Well, many thanks for joining us. You're watching QTV and we're broadcasting live from our studios along Kairaba Avenue. I am Ansmane Sonyasi and this is the news. Our headlines this evening: in what is regarded as a historic occasion, President Adama Barrow on Tuesday presented ambulances to dozens of communities in the North Bank region. Journalists undergo training on reporting on climate change and environmental issues funded by the British High Commission. Following the damage caused by the July 7th windstorm, the governor of Lower River Region, who is also the chairperson of the Regional Disaster Management Committee, told the region to meet disaster relief beneficiaries. And in sports news, the National League Division 1 champions Fortune FC, having won their home leg, are optimistic of completing the job in Algeria ahead of their CAF Champions League preliminary round second leg. Well, stay tuned as we bring you more on this and other stories. And we will now take a look at the news in detail. In what is regarded as a historic occasion, President Adama Barrow on Tuesday presented ambulances to dozens of communities in the North Bank region as part of measures to improve access to health care facilities and service delivery. KTV's Mohamed Lamin Choi tells us more.
President Barrow's Meet the People's tour has brought joy to some of the remotest communities in the North Bank region, who will be leaving the meeting grounds with brand new ambulances to alleviate their constraints in access to healthcare facilities. In a joint meeting at Njabakunda, the Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmad Lamin Samate, stressed government's commitment to transforming the health sector by constructing more health facilities and improving people's access to health.
dina dimbale wa rewmi dina dimbale docteur yi fay kadu nin sasa ton ka fudan la juna wala ka dian to fane dum be min kalan sakeno ayaba ngir jaraki suñu tela e ga ci l'hôpital dina len dimbale ñom fajkati ñu mu leena topato ni waré.
The head of state presents the ambulances to the village heads with words of advice for proper care and to serve the people in communities. These ambulances are part of government's promise to deliver 80 new ambulances to all constituencies in the Gambia. Village heads and chiefs thank the president for responding to their needs. Farmers also rallied their support with the National People's Party, calling for more support from government to address their agricultural needs. In his dialogue with the people, the president announced his ongoing process to deliver farming equipment such as tractors, power tillers, milling machines, among others.
Nanyi silonte diamo siandila doku drombe wala fola mole na projet kol mumenti nga doku menke wala fola mole wari ko ni momo be doku la nyante konti bolale ndedo ndele ben fan konti bola jannatel gambian kol alben konti bola. At the Njabakunda meeting with lower and central Badibu constituencies, the Minister of Women, Gender and Children has announced the presentation of a check for over $1.7 million to 20 women groups to improve their businesses.
xaalis bi leen di jox nii
juróomi ma juróomi man ko la yaa
bor la boo xam ne ni bor bu oyof la
kadu woro i mata man di lay te fe njola
juróom benni weer di ngeen ci liggéey te doo ngeen commencé fay dara
kadu wala fula njango am jola wala kono ay ban
ko defee ci ñaareeli juróom benni weer nag ngeen di commencé di fay bor bi
allah ko fa man ko la yaa de
te liñ ci tegandaay bi interest bi tam lu yomb la
keme da si lolu
téeméer bu ci nekk juróom moom ngeen cee fay.
To monitor progress of agricultural projects in the region, the president has conducted a site visit to Dasilame Jokado Disability Group Agricultural Value Chain Project, supported broiler production and a groundnut and maize farm in Jabakunda. Mohamed Lamin Choi, QTV News, reporting from the North Bank region.
Journalists undergo training on reporting on climate change and environmental issues. The training, supported by the British High Commission in the Gambia, was organized on Wednesday. Babukasi has the rest of that story.
The purpose is to train Gambian journalists on environmental issues and policies to help them improve their reporting on one of the biggest, if not the biggest, existential threats of our time. Addressing the gathering, the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Environment, Momodu Mbai Jabang, said journalists are the mouthpiece of the public and building their capacity will help in the fight against the climate and environmental threats.
We cannot overemphasize the importance of such a meeting, such a workshop, where the capacities of the so-called fourth estate is going to be developed to help in articulating and in publicizing and of course in increasing awareness and understanding of the general public about the issues surrounding climate change. And so government is only delighted to strengthen this partnership and to be part of this process. I want to declare to you today that all the journalists here or outside, if you want any copy of these documents that I'm mentioning, please feel free to contact us at the ministry and it will be provided.
David Belgroff, the British High Commissioner to the Gambia, said the media have an important role to play in climate change campaign and adaptation, especially in this election year when politicians should be telling us how they intend to tackle climate change.
It is also critical that policymakers, scientists and climate activists engage with the media, make climate information available, and in turn that newsrooms give sufficient priority to climate and environment stories. We are in an election year here in the Gambia. The media should be questioning candidates about their plans for climate resilience should they win.
Fatu Aliko Mulushi, whose climate change reporting won her an award, is part of the participants and had this to say.
I think it's very timely, and the fact that it's evident what the Gambia is going through. Just recently, this rainy season and the past rainy season, we're all seeing what is happening with disasters, flooding, and this is all exacerbated by the environment and climate crisis. So it's very eminent that we, the journalists, who are usually the ones supposed to demystify the complicated messages, are indeed aware of the complexities involved and just expose ourselves to the climate nuances. Because as you see, we don't have to be experts in the field to be able to communicate the message. What we need is a fair knowledge, fair understanding, and good researching skills to be able to communicate that to the public.
This training is part of the British government's reporting fellowship program for journalists from developing countries in preparation for the UN Climate Change Conference COP26 to be hosted by the United Kingdom in Glasgow from the 31st of October to the 12th of November 2021. The conference will bring together heads of state, climate experts and campaigners to agree on coordinated actions to tackle climate change. Babu Karsi, QTV News.
Impressive. Now, talking about climate change and disaster, following the damage caused by the July 7th windstorm that hit the country, the governor of the Lower River region, Rohijon Manjang, who is also the chairperson of the National Disaster Management Committee, toured the region to meet the disaster relief beneficiaries. Our regional correspondent, Bakari Balde, was with the team and he now tells us more.
To mitigate the suffering of disaster victims in LRR, the government of the Gambia, through the National Disaster Management Agency, supported 26 households, each receiving $22,500. The Gambia Red Cross Society supported 34 households, out of which 90 received food and shelter worth $30,406, and the remaining 15 got only food worth $7,906 each. Equally, the World Food Program supported 124 households with food worth $27,000. Mariama Sanyang, a beneficiary from Kiamburong, explained how the roof of her house was blown off by the wind and spoke of the immediate help she received from neighbors. She thanked the government of the Gambia and partners for their timely intervention.
I was alone in the house when the rain started. It was someone else who noticed how heavy the rain was and the condition of my house at that time. I was shouting inside my house and eventually people came out to break my door and took me outside. My house was inundated, but I thank God I know that government is doing its work and the Gambia Red Cross and other institutions are also helping because they all came forward to support us.
Alaji Baluta Kambi, the Alcalo of Karantaba village, thanked and complimented the governor and her team for reaching out and coming to see them despite their tight schedules.
We are very happy. People from Karantaba, Bronjula Kunda, Misra and Jane Kunda are all here. We all came to respond to your call. We thank you and we welcome you here.
The The chief of Kiang East, Ansumana Sani, advises the beneficiaries to use the support for the intended purpose. He advocates people to grow more trees for food and environmental protection.
Only trees can help prevent damage from heavy windstorms. We don't have to be planting trees in the bush where nobody takes good care of them. Instead, we should be planting them within and around our homes, so that when they grow in a few years, they can serve as windbreakers in the future. The dangers of windstorms, fire outbreaks, and other natural disasters are always huge. Therefore, we should devise mechanisms to prevent their occurrence. And tree planting is one of the best ways to reduce these disasters.
Governor LRR Rohi John Manjang, who is the chairperson of Regional Disaster Management Committee, explained the purpose of the visit. She further applauded the government and donor partners for the laudable support.
We are here today to visit the disaster victims. Since the windstorm, the last windstorm that has hit hard the country, LRR has registered 150 cases. Unfortunately, I couldn't go around to have a first-hand information of this situation, but I've been receiving constant report from the disaster team and the Red Cross. We thank the entire team, the NDMA, the Red Cross, WFP, and of course the government for the laudable support that they have provided.
As part of the tour, the governor planted trees in different sizes and handed over sanitary materials to some disaster victims. The Regional Disaster Management Coordinating Office in Mansakonko called on partners to continue promoting partnership and synergy for effective humanitarian support. Reporting for QTV News, I am Bakari Balde.
And from that report there by Bakari Balde, we will take a short commercial break, but the news continues when we return.
Looking for the fastest and easiest way to receive money transfers from abroad? Well, QMoney and RIA just made it happen. Now you can receive international money transfer from RIA directly into your QMoney account with no additional cost. Once you receive an SMS alert about your transfer, walk into any QMoney agent across the country to receive your payment for free, or use the money immediately to buy credit, QPower, and other QMoney services. It's fast, safe, and convenient. For more info, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sunu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Check out the all-new Tigo 8 at S-Pass Motors. Call 3522-222 or 353-2222 for more information. Sharing.
Well, thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining us, I'm Ansumane Sonyasi, and this is QTV News coming to you live from our studios along Kairaba Avenue. Now, financial dependence on family members, friends, or people you know is very common in the Gambia and can have a great impact on the welfare of the dependents as well as on the development of the country at large. Ajibintu Drame went out to assess the culture of dependency, and this is her report.
In the Gambia, the culture of dependency is a topic no one wants to talk about in the open. However, it is clearly visible in the remittances received in the Gambia. At least 140,000 Gambians live outside their country. The financial contributions of these people to their families and their home economy in the form of remittances sent regularly is hugely significant. A Finscope survey in 2019 has found out that money sent home from family and friends is a vital source of income to an estimated 26% to 37% of households in the Gambia. The fact of dependency in the Gambia is among the problems pushing people, particularly youths, to embark on irregular migration, locally described as taking the back way, in search of supposedly greener pasture. Others say the dependency culture has made some people too lazy to work to support themselves, as they become reliant on remittances from abroad. However, not all dependency rests on funds from abroad. Alaji Silla, a furniture maker and breadwinner of his immediate and extended family, says the dependency culture makes it difficult for one to save money.
People
who allow others to depend on them are patient. It is very difficult to gain skills. And at the end of the day, people are expecting to feed on your earnings without planning to work. It won't be easy, but let's try and work to fend for ourselves.
Aidaka, a customer care representative, explains that people sometimes complain about lack of jobs. She encourages people to venture into small-scale business or learn skills rather than wait for family members to provide for them. She further states that she does not save money at the end of the month due to family obligations and financial responsibility. However, she has joined a community contribution scheme locally called Osusu, which helps her when the need arises. If it is a culture in the Gambia, the young generation can change the narratives by having things to do in order to teach the little ones to work. That's why the trend will continue. Unfortunately, the mentality we have is to sit and depend on someone. To reduce what seems to be the increasing trend of a dependency culture, initiatives like TechEV and vocational institutions have been set up to give people the opportunities and chances to stay in the Gambia and engage in meaningful activities for self-development, self-employment and growth. 19-year-old Babukar Bari chose to learn tailoring skills after graduating from high school.
There are lots of jobs here. If one wants to work, he or she will work. For me, I am learning tailoring and also playing football. I love both. If God helps me to succeed in both, I will be happy. I love tailoring. That's what I told my dad. So my dad teaches me how to sew. I want to follow his footsteps.
Babukar Gomez is an artist. He says for many years he has been unemployed and there are no contracts. He adds that he would rather work than depend on people.
The same thing. Turntable, Westfield Monument, all those statues, and even in Bakau, I made them. But I am here doing nothing because I have no job. If I have a contract to print or make t-shirts right now, I will.
From what we have heard locally, one must ask whether it is either a lack of employment or an unwillingness to work that creates and sustains the dependency culture. There needs to be attitudinal change to eradicate the culture of dependency. Otherwise, for as long as it remains, it will put a heavy burden on the ones providing the funds. Perhaps sending money for someone to get trained or start a business might be the answer. That way, the recipients can create jobs and start a business, learn skills or get jobs to cater for their own needs. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
And that interesting report there by Ajibintu Drame will lead us to the international news in a moment. Now, 15 September marks International Day of Democracy. The day traces its existence to the Universal Declaration on Democracy adopted on September 15, 1997 by the Interparliamentary Union, the global organization of national parliaments. More in this report.
From that declaration in 1997, it took until 2007 when the UN General Assembly passed a resolution officially designating the day, and in the following year, the first International Day of Democracy was observed by 46 countries. International Day of Democracy provides an opportunity to review the state of democracy in the world, according to the UN. This year's commemoration, coming amid the COVID-19 pandemic, has predictably been focused on the effect of the pandemic on democracy. In the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres' statement on the occasion, he urged governments to be transparent, responsive and accountable in their COVID-19 response and ensure that any emergency measures are legal, proportionate, necessary and non-discriminatory. The best response, he says, is one that responds proportionately to immediate threats while protecting human rights and the rule of law. Throughout the pandemic, we've been seeing on our TV screens images from some parts of the world of uniformed state authorities using brutal force in the name of carrying out the COVID-19 emergency measures, drawing outcry from human rights groups. Democracy now stands a high degree of acceptance and legitimacy around the world. Nobel laureate Amartya Sen describes it as a universal value, having, he says, achieved the status of being taken to be generally right. However, in a 2017 report by Freedom House, a non-profit, non-governmental organization based in the U.S. that conducts research and advocacy on democracy, political freedom and human rights, democracy has been under assault and in retreat globally. In Africa in particular, where democracy has had no firm roots post-independence, there has been a growing body of literature critical of what is called Western-style democracy being applied to Africa. The Ghanaian economist and author George Ayete is a typical voice of this school. He says majority vote democracy is not suitable to Africa because the majoritarian model has encouraged a winner-takes-all praxis, contrary to the African traditional model of consensual public decision-making. The Western model allows an elected leader in Africa to use power and the state machinery to advance the economic interests of his ethnic group and exclude all others. A survey of democracies around the world reveals the many forms that the concept takes in different societies. The US presidential democracy with term limits is not the same as the UK's parliamentary democracy without term limits. Perhaps the trick is to take the general principles and values of political governance encapsulated in the concept of democracy and institutionalize them in forms congruous with our culture and history. And people who seek alternatives would do well to listen to former British Prime Minister Sir Winston Churchill. And I quote, "Many forms of government have been tried and will be tried in this world of sin and woe. No one pretends that democracy is perfect or all-wise. Indeed, it has been said that democracy is the worst form of government, except for all those other forms that have been tried from time to time." End of quote. For QTV News, I am Mahmoud Mbouch.
And from the report by Mahmoud Mbouch, we will now take a look at sports. The National League Division 1 champions Fortune FC, having won their home leg, are optimistic of completing the job in Algeria ahead of their CAF Champions League preliminary round, second leg tie against AS Satif on Sunday. Our sports reporter Mour Gajaga has been monitoring their development, and this is his report.
Intense training for Fortune FC, the Petroleum Boys. Less than 4 days before they face two-time winners Algerian club Anton Satif in the return leg of the CAF Champions League preliminary round. The Gambian club enjoyed an emphatic 3-0 victory at home on Saturday in a remarkable display. Experienced forward Ibrahima Kamara put the champions in front with a beautiful strike. After collecting a deft pass from midfielder Ibu Sanyang, Kamara superbly waved his way through the defense before slotting in a right-footed shot, beating goalkeeper Soufiane. This is what Ibrahima Kamara said about his goal.
It was a rejoicing moment, a first goal for the team that boosted our morale towards the qualification to the CAF proper Champions League. So I think it was a very important to open up scoring for the team to give us a hope for qualification. So I was so happy to give my team a lead from the first half, to get into the dressing room with a rest of mind and to prepare for the second half to see how we can conquer them in our home ground. I was so delighted and happy, and the fans' reaction towards the goal gave me the energy to fight even more.
In the second half, the Petroleum Boys appeared disjointed in the first few minutes, but steadied themselves later to play a much better possessional football. Patrick Silva doubled their advantage with a thunder shot that flew into the net. One of their recent signings, Aliou Barry, came off the bench and made his presence felt with a goal in the 80th minute. Bully Drame, another substitute, had orchestrated a fine run on the right before laying a pass for Barry to score, sealing the victory. After a spectacular display by the Gambian champions in the first leg, they will be optimistic of progressing to the next stage. The two sides face off again on Sunday night in Satif to determine the tie. Mamadou Gajaga, QTV News.
You know what? The whole country is rooting for you. So good luck. And I'm afraid that's all the time permits. But do join us at 10 p.m. for another bulletin. Until then, on behalf of the entire production team, thanks for watching.